Let's start with the pledge of allegiance, everybody. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, good evening, everybody. I'd like to call to order the May 15th, 2024 Lower Salford Township Communication Committee. Thank you all for attending. First order of business is to approve the minutes from the April 2023 meeting. In front of you, everybody should have a copy of the minutes. Again, as always, John, thank you for detailed minutes. April, down here. Any comments or suggestions? Yeah. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes as presented on the April 17th, 2024 minutes? To approve. Jean, thank you. Do we have a second? Terry, appreciate it. All in favor, say aye, please.
Aye.
Opposed? Nay. And it's approved. Thank you, everybody. Our next order of business is to call for public discussion or visitor comments. And at this time, we ask any members of the audience or online, both in person or any members of the committee, if they'd like to say anything publicly. The floor is yours. Seeing none, we're going to move on to old business. Our first order of business, old business A, is off-site meeting venue solicitation. So just flashback for anybody online checking this out, or for everybody here, we did put together a packet with the idea is that we could go bring our meetings outside. Similarly to the park board, who have their meetings sometimes in the summer at parks to offer residents an opportunity to walk and be able to contribute and see how the meetings work. We want to do the same thing in regards to residential facilities. So I did this month go around to the residential facilities, and I do have a report that I wanted to share with everybody here. I have it digitally, so please bear with me. Very good. So for the most part, I will say that everybody's reaction was positive. I did have a few that I couldn't find, contact the manager, but left it and, called back, and we'll follow through. But starting with Pheasant Run, they have a new manager. They love the idea. Their concerns is that they don't have the facilities to hold the meeting, but it's still open to the idea and wants to connect. We discussed other ways that we can keep residents more involved. They will get back to us soon. They like the whole idea of the communications committee. I also explained, because it was a newer manager from the last time I was there, a little bit more of what we do, how, some of the things that a lot of these people said, but one of the things that especially Pheasant Run is they would definitely like some maps, anything that they could have, things that we might have in our vestibule that we could offer to them would be great. It also led me to another idea, which we can get to in a little bit here as well, but not having a facility, maybe that's something we could always explore, whether they did have a courtyard, something like that. And I know if the park does meet outside, that could be something down the lines that, if we further talks with them, we could consider as well. Village Square, they love everything the group is doing, told me to relay that message. They will pass I spoke to the assistant manager. I spoke to the manager before, so I do know the manager, and she is a fan. They will pass on the message to the manager. They would definitely like to have more things available, as we do in our vestibule for their residents. Not all the residents have the means to make it to our meetings, and that's the one thing they said. So they're excited about that. Mark Twain, I dropped off information, went back and haven't seen anybody yet, but I can follow up on that as well. The Birches, I left information at their desk. They're going to pass it on actually to their maintenance manager, and they definitely appreciate us stopping by and will get back to us. That was Birches. Arbor Square, we talked about the idea. They're also excited at the idea. They mentioned that they currently have other community meetings starting to happen there, such as Rotaries. So they were very open to the idea. I didn't speak with the general manager. He wasn't at the property at the time, the executive director, but they did express that it might be something that they may be interested in passing on. They also mentioned that it's funny, I was there because they just had a new resident move in. He is an extreme biker, they said. And first thing he asked was maps of the township. Do we have any maps of trails and stuff like that? So in conversation with the person I spoke with, her name's Kelly, was you know, the idea that, yes, some of the residents there, so the idea that some people have is, oh, those residents, you know, we'll have to go to them and all, but she even explained that there are a lot of residents that can get around as well, and they would love the idea of having maps and stuff available too, and they hope to discuss further with that. Also, another thing they mentioned too is that resident actually, the new resident inquired about a bike share program, so something that we can bring up to look into the future as well here. But that was the other thing that they wanted me to relay. Montgomery Woods, they did not see the managers yet. I do have a pretty good relationship with them where I do drop things off on the email, you know, and they're a fan of the maps. They were actually printing out maps prior to us going there, shrinking down our own maps from our website, which gave us that idea. Parkview at Oak Crest, I did speak with the property manager. She was very excited about the idea. She wants to discuss it with their residents at an upcoming picnic that they have later this month. She's going to survey the residents and see if this is something that they would want to do. And if it is something that they want to do, she said that hopefully they could even set something up come August. Her name was Talonda. She was going to hopefully hop on the meeting tonight. I did send the link, but we might see her as well. They would also like some more township information. Love the idea of the welcome packet. Once I explained obviously a little more of what we have done. So that's also something that I know we discussed more, but maybe we could look into getting more of that available for the residential facilities, especially, and I said we might have something on our website. That's what we're doing tonight. I was explaining the agenda, and she says that's a great idea. She's looking forward to working with us, and as I said, may attend our meeting on Zoom. For the most part, everybody was very excited at the idea, very intrigued at the idea, and just were glad that we were offering more to the residents. Again, our town, and I did explain to everybody, our township has a lot to offer, but everybody does have busy lives. One thing I did find interesting, and we mentioned before, how, you know, I think it was Mark Twain, the manager there, said some of the residents didn't know that we even had a community pool. So using that as an example, when I was discussing with property managers, you know, we've learned that some people don't know that we may even have a community pool. Two of the property managers didn't know exactly where the pool was, or, you know, so I explained how it was a community thing, but we also have other things, townships. And I think that just gives an example. They said, I'm sorry, I did not know this. I try to know all I can and I have visited the website, but again, you know, they're caught up in their work. So I think that's, we've kind of laughed at that and said, okay, this is another reason why what we're doing is good.
These managers, some of them live in, or are they all?
I don't think they
come in.
as far as I'm almost, I don't think. I know for sure, you know, the two of them that I was talking to were not from this area, so we got that idea.
So unless we give them the information, they're not in a position to share personal experience.
Exactly, and as she said, it wasn't any, you know, it wasn't. She said she's learning more and more, you know, through the residents and whatnot too. But just, you know, I had a couple standard questions. You know, I said, okay, well, what kind of other questions they want to know is how many people we have coming to our meetings. Another question I had, and this is from multiple ones, was would it be open to the public? And that was the one actually at the Arbor Square that asked that, and they explained that they had their meeting. So before I answered, I said, well, we would like it to be, obviously, you know, we want as many people to attend. We definitely would have a Zoom if we had that capability, but we would just want to have it at another facility. It did not deter anybody. They were excited at that idea too. I explained that our attendance is kind of a little mediocre. We could always have more people, but the purpose of having people is really to get the information to steer us into a direction that we want to go. And again, everybody was excited about that. I think it's worthwhile to follow up on some welcome packets, you know, stuff like that in the future. We could discuss whether we want to have an idea of maybe an open air thing in the future. You know, I think it's worth building a relationship first, you know, seeing which way they want to go, but that could be something that we could do as well, because as I said, Pheasant Run, he was very excited about that idea. He thought it was great. He literally said that's a great opportunity for people to come, just see how it happens. You know, shows that we care, that we're there as well, but he was just, you know, they didn't have the means to do that. They don't have that community work in that sense. So I think it went over very well. One question that I had is how would these places be receptive to that idea? This is a whole another idea. And some of the questions I had, you know, when they asked us, well, we're open to that. That's what we'll discuss. You know, everybody gave everybody the idea to mull on this, hop on the meeting if they want, but, you know, follow up definitely within a month and before our next meeting and see what they want to do. So most of them had to discuss it over with, you know, their overheads as well. I take any questions if anybody has any questions or anything as well, but I don't want to be too redundant, but I think that kind of sums up everything that I saw. So very positive. It is a possibility. And hopefully we may be able to have a meeting offsite by the end of the year as well. That's my take on it. So,
Sounds good to me.
but yeah, I will definitely keep everybody updated. Everybody has the communications email. So if we get anything, we will. And I think it's worthwhile. I personally plan to, if it's okay with the committee too, if we don't hear anything and say like a month, maybe a week before our next meeting, just kind of follow up. Even I think stopping by is good, but making a phone call as well. I did leave a message with 2 places, but I will follow up with the ones I was not able to speak to someone. At all of those places though, I did drop off the information. So they have the letter.
Very good.
All right. So hopefully that will be good. But again, everybody on this end, thank you very much for all the contributions. I think everybody worked really hard on that, and I'm excited to see what happens with that. So thank you very much on that. And seeing no other questions on this, we can always go back. We'll move on to resident welcome letter packet. So I did confirm, as I told some of you a little bit before we started with Chairman Bergman, the final letter. We have a copy of it in front of us. And thank you, Holly, for printing that out as well. One of the concerns was, when we just say guidance shaft, which if you don't know, it's on our website, and it means community, it is a welcome greeting here.
How do you say it?
Guidance shaft.
Diamond
Shaft.
like D diamond.
Diamond shaft. Yes. And mine shaft, thank you. So, but yeah, so what we did is as you can see, we said, whereas our original Pennsylvania Dutch settlers would have said. So that just kind of explains it. We went over that with the board and, kind of shared it around this morning. Everybody liked that idea. So the intent now then, we have the numbers, we have the addresses, and we're ready to send this as is. With actually, the only thing I would say is we will need the QR codes as the only updated things.
I have a question. Will they fit in that spot or were we gonna put them underneath?
Good question, because I think originally we were going to put them back down onto the bottom. And this was, so what I did is, Chairman Berg sent me the word that he had, so I copied it, but I realized now it was back to our original. So yes, the only thing we would have to do is put the QR codes at the bottom. So actually, while we have discussion of that, looking at this with the letterhead would be a little tighter on the bottom.
Do we need new resident welcome letter?
No, I think we're only going to have 2, correct? In the end?
Yeah.
Back. Yeah. Oh,
Do we need that? We can move everything else if we don't need that.
no, we don't
Right
need that.
above, yeah.
Yeah,
If we
that's,
eliminate that, we can move everything up.
okay, yeah, that's a great point. So,
Yeah,
new resident welcome letter, cross that off. We move that up, and then I believe we were gonna put just which 2 official ones were we gonna put? Does anybody recall? We do have it. With QR codes. So actually, the final, so this is, we're gonna use this now so we can see the text here, but the final, before we confirm, and I do have it here. At the bottom will be 3 QR codes, but we're also gonna cross off the Lower Salford constant contact sign up, insert QR. And the Lower Salford Township resident request portal. I'll share this. This is what we originally laid it out as EBC.
Okay.
And I'll make sure we get that back. As I said, we got the final this morning, so that's why we printed that up, but you can see what we have crossed off for the final there. If that looks okay with you, I'll re-edit that and get that underway. Yes.
If you want me to,
Mhm.
you can just put where it says insert QR code, we could just put CQR code on back and I can put them all on the back and I just do a double sided. It's still one sheet of paper.
I don't mind that idea. I'll ask the committee too. I kind of like it on the front where you can see it right away, but I'll take a consensus. And thank you. And what does the committee feel about?
I think the front would be better if it can fit, but if it looks squished.
I agree, if it's aesthetically better, definitely move it. I think, And I think my reasoning is, maybe somebody might flip it over, just for chance, but if it does say CQR code on the back, that's a good point. I say, I'm okay waiting to see how it looks first. How about their opinions on that? Okay, so if we can see how it looks first, if that's
I
okay.
can just.
Thank you, that'd be great. So I'll touch base with you with this and make sure we get it as similar to this. Any other questions on this here as well? Hopefully everybody's okay with the greeting there. Seemed to be the best way we could keep it as close as possible. I had 3 different versions for Chairman Burrow. Yeah, so the next step with this is to make sure that we get this out as soon as possible, so we can be prepared for our next one. So again, I'm excited to get this rolling, and we'll make sure we confirm this. We'll confirm the final via email with everybody as well. Thank you, Holly, as well. And I know we had discussion about whether we're gonna keep 2 or 3. I'm okay with 3 on there if it looks okay. That's what I think that's the final. So I know I have the final in here. I'm gonna put that back so I don't lose this. Thank you, everybody. Any other questions on the welcome letter packet? I think I wanted to add just to this and whether we can make this up for new business in the future, but again, talking with people, they love the idea. I think it's worthwhile to, as soon as we have this, to even just give them a physical copy that they can copy and kind of encourage them to give to new residents when they arrive. I think not every residential facility, discussed it with me, but I know, for example, we had a discussion at Village Square, who originally had the idea of, hey, something that just says welcome to the neighborhood, who you all are. So I know they like that idea and would hand it out. So I think that's worthwhile to do as well.
So the 3 QR codes will be.
Constant contact, the website and the resident request portal, or those are the 3.
Those are the 3, correct. We never discussed order wise, but I figure we just keep it on the same order that we have going down on the list. I just want to confirm with everybody as well.
You wanna put the township website up?
Yeah, I was gonna say
This was thinking that might be. So I was wondering, so township website first. I agree. I do too. I think everything else is good then, because text message alerts. It makes sense, constant contact, then resident request portal. And the township email is going to go after the signature on the bottom there. After Lower South Township Board of Supervisors. Township email. I like how you pointed out the new resident welcome letter. We don't need to advise everybody that it's a new resident welcome letter. Thank you. Sorry that made it on there. That was on the original one I see too here. If there's any other questions on that, keep this out just in case too. Next, any other questions from? Our next old business is the new resident website landing page. So we have discussed, which kind of goes well with our resident welcome packet. An idea of what we could put on our website to kind of just gear people, especially new residents, go right to a website page. Eventually having on a new resident welcome letter link just to take them right to that as well. So that we can edit as we go. So what we kind of all had a little homework was just kind of to check out different websites, do some Googling, look at different township things. I did I wrote down some pros and cons that I found on the examples that we had. And these examples were things that we talked about last time. Again, for me personally, I looked around. The reason I came up with these examples last time is because I found them to be different and, different ways. Obviously, and if you look around, a lot of these have a lot of similarities to some and some differences. But for the most part, I didn't see anything that strayed away too far away from what the examples we have here. So I just wrote down some pros and cons that I thought just on these websites, and again, did some Googling. Saw some other ones too, but nothing else that I could find stood out, but I'd love to hear everybody's take, and I'd be happy to share mine first, and then we start with Hatfield Township. So Hatfield Township, hopefully anybody have any opinions on that? For me, I thought it was simple, informative, lots of resources, including community organizations. The pictures on there made it look very aesthetically pleasing. They were like pictures of the officers, pictures of the fire company. The cons that I had is originally, I thought I could not scroll back up. I found as I was going down, after a while, I saw that there was a button that says back to top, but looking at it I was looking at it on an iPad, I just didn't notice it right away. So I was like, oh, okay, never mind. I can do that. Because I was writing down, oh, that's a con. Like, oh, wait a minute, you can. But I did find that a little challenging and cumbersome. I wrote down after, I don't know why. Again, these are my notes here, but I found it, after the fact that it did work better, but it was a little difficult scrolling up and down for me there. Any other takes on the Hatfield website? Everybody had a chance to look at it. I think Jessica has a good idea of looking at it as we speak here.
The one thing I would say is like, I don't feel like it's organized in any particular way.
Yes.
Like it could be like resources, or like. It looks like it is a little bit, but it's like permits, transportation, healthcare.
It has a lot of great information, but it's overwhelming in a sense, I feel, but that's a good point. And
It was,
Like, I
it
like
wasn't
it.
it wasn't my favorite. I agree with you. I also think that I got the impression that it was more organized from a township viewpoint than from a new resident.
yes,
Right, and I think I see a difference. There's another one, that is, I feel more oriented to a new resident.
I think I know, but there's a couple, but specifically one. That's a great point though. So there was a lot of information, but it did seem a little overwhelming, because that's what I mean. You're scrolling down, like, this is great, but there's no, now at the top, I think they did have a link that you could click to get down to where you wanted to go. But
I
you
like
have to go back to the top, and then sometimes when I went back to the top, I still have to scroll up and down to see. Again, it's not a bad website, and I think all of these are great, and I commend each township and boroughs for doing this. It's a great thing, and we're Upper Marion's, yeah. Upper Marion's was good as well. Let's continue with we go to Upper Marion now. Anybody, so Upper Marion had a welcome pack. And Upper Marion's welcome packet. Any other comments on Hatfield's? Terry?
Yeah, keeping a list of things we like. So when you said guideline for when we want to do ours, we know what we like, what we don't.
And that's well said too. And that's what I want to say too. But anything that we might say that we didn't like doesn't mean that it's not a great website and it's not a great try on the township. But it's like a new baseball stadium. We're taking good things
Right.
to make it better. But very good. So with Hatfield, so now we go to Upper Marion. Upper Marion had a welcome packet. For me, I put some pros. It was informative, lots of information, and the links worked in the digital packet, which was good to see. So it has a digital packet that looks like it was put together. The cons, I put that the packet is a digital packet, and for that you could not scroll the same, and then the links took you to another website, which I think is something that we should be careful. For example, if it was like something for the tax collector, I think, and you click on that, now you're at the tax collector's website, rather than opening up even just a new tab. There's something similar with the Boy Scouts as well, which it's good to be able to go to those websites, but I just found that to be not as informative, you know, or something that we would want to make sure we wouldn't do there. I'm opening up the website. Any other questions on there or comments on their welcome packet? I'm having a difficult time actually opening it on my phone. Did you get it open, Jess?
Yeah, it's working for me. Yeah, I like the idea of it being on a website page more than in a PDF file. I
Yeah,
guess, like,
was this one a PDF file?
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be why it's not loading at the moment. Yeah, it's opening different, and that I found to be a little cumbersome, and I think that's why I highlighted it's a digital packet, because the links did work, which I think that's why I emphasized that, because it was like a book, you almost like they photocopied it. I wasn't sure if they were all gonna work.
yeah,
together.
it's nice. Like, it looks very.
Any other takes on Upper Merion? How about Concord? That was another one that was a little different than the others. And again, there's a lot of great things, but I felt these were ones we found off the cuff. For this, I felt, oh yeah, that was one with the welcome mat for all of them to remember. And I had that packet last week, which had a bunch of the pictures from the Concord, the approach to Concord. I thought it was simple, it's to the point, it was informative, the links were prevalent. There's easy share options, which was neat too. Off to the side, it says share, so you could click that and share it with anyone. That could be something, oh, you know what, my neighbor might like this. I didn't know we had this, so I like that in there. The cons I had is less info than others. And I actually had my kids help me out with this too. I had just to get another take. I said, what do you think just looking at it? And you know, and like they said without the pictures, it could be overwhelming. You kind of feel a little lost there. I'm not just saying just the kids, but if you look at it this way, it looks almost like you're reading manual here, you know, and that's the only negative I have from that. But I think everything on there, they had a lot of links. What I like about these, no, this is a communications committee. You're welcome to stay, but the youth is downstairs if you'd like to take that. No worries. So you can see all the links did work, and what they did with this, and that's one thing I did like with the to the point. The links were kind of in, how would I say this? Yes, they're in the wording already. It wasn't like click here to see here. It says, for example, you know, we have vote, you know, for voting information can be found on, you know, in a sentence. Click it there. You know, the Concord Township taxes are the second lowest, the tax information page, and you know, click it there, not click here. So that was helpful. But again, I think having some kind of menu, something else to note is a little more, it's better on the eyes, and it's a little easier. You might have someone read and go, oh, that's too much. I don't want to read that. That would be fear of that.
That was missed the link.
Yes, that's the whole point there. And
Yeah.
even though it's very informative, a lot of stuff, and it's a lot more than some townships have, I just felt that was something that I liked better with the other ones there.
I agree. It's almost like overwhelming when you look at it, and it's also not organized, like it's like you have to
Yep.
scroll through everything to find what you want.
Yeah, and-
find the information.
That's another great point. I think it works for some people. Like I read it, you know, I read the thing and, you know, I thought, oh, okay, but not every, you know, some people, people learn differently as well. Like we talked about kinesthetically, you know, visually, it's a lot there. It was good though. Moving on, go ahead.
I agree that visually it looks like a lot, but one of the things I liked about it was not as voluminous as
Yeah,
some of the others, right? My viewpoint, it was almost kind of a step up from our quick reference guide, right?
Yeah.
Our quick reference guide, it's almost just links, name and a link. This was a name, if you will, a couple of sentences and a link. And I agree, it may not be formatted the best visually, but in terms of the volume or lack of volume, I mean, again, as opposed to some of the others, they were just,
yeah.
I mean, it was a book.
It was like overbearing,
A
yeah.
man, it was a man.
Yeah, it seems to be the right amount of it. Like,
Yeah,
Right.
and I liked it when we originally found it. I'm glad you said it, because really that was my first two pros were simple. The next one was two, because it really had everything, and informative was the third one because it did share everything. I like how you mentioned the quick reference, and you're absolutely right in that. And I think one of the things that was appealing to this is we don't want to cause more work, as we said, we have all this information on the website. We don't necessarily need it to go too overbearing, just the links there. But great point with that.
Yeah.
Any other comments on Concord? Quick reference, guys, agree, analogy there.
I think the other thing is, this one, I think, is a little closer to what a new resident would want, like, not every department explained, or not, yeah, some of those others were just, it was more about the township than kind of structured for what I, as a new resident, really want to know.
Mhm. Yeah, I think that's a great point too, because you'll get bored otherwise, we like a lot of those aspects, but that's something that people learn to appreciate about the town sometimes, and.
And as you said, that information is already on the website. I mean, if you want to know about the township, it's already there.
Right.
And the purpose of a new resident landing page is
To get them those.
is to provide what a new resident needs,
Right now.
Yeah,
right now.
right, to the point, very good.
I specifically liked on that one that they had the taxes and the voting, because I feel like that's something I didn't see on the other
I
ones.
saw in some of the welcome packets, but
Okay.
yeah, because some of them, and the only reason, and not all, but you're right, I do like that too, and I know.
The Upper Marion had voting, but it was like this.
Yeah, well, and that's what I mean with this one, it's as it's written, it's
Yeah.
like, we have voting here, we have taxes here, it's like, oh, I'll click
Yeah,
that,
here's
that was good.
how you find voting, yeah.
I think another one was, because I noticed with one of them, not every single thing had community. So like for even like Boy Scouts, so that's why when I noticed, okay, some of them had voting taxing as the most community that they had, outside of the township. And, I think that's a decision the township would have to make, whether they want to,
Right.
endorse the community events like that. That's something that we do, we promote that, community here. I also like the welcome mat. I know we talked about that before. It's nice and simple there, but it definitely
Yeah.
adds a nice thing to it. Anything else about Concord? Okay. Lower Merion. Lower Merion also had a welcome packet. My pros I put on that, and if you had a chance to look at it, I really like the info on the side toolbar. I found that was easily accessible. I didn't get lost as easily. There's plenty of links. Even a lot of links on there. Everything was super linked there. There are more resources, but they're not overbearing with a simple. They were not overbearing. It was simple to get to what you wanted. The links didn't take you away from the website as well. The cons with this one that I thought of right away, as I said, there's a lot of information right there, a lot of things to click, and that's something that we were just kind of saying that may be time consuming to prepare. And having countless links could be overwhelming for some people. But this one, I thought that it kind of was very informative and to the point for residents as well. Any other comments on thoughts on Lower Merion?
It's just interesting, some of the things they put, the links, like one was latex paint disposal. I think,
Excuse me, I said lower, but I meant, and I did print lower, but I meant Upper Merion.
Oh, sorry.
Yes, I just want to clarify. I'm so sorry.
I was like, I don't.
I'm looking at my-
I saw this light turn. My. But I do have Upper Merion. And that was a welcome pack there. No, maybe I did Lower Merion as well, because I have Upper Merion. I think I did. I did do Lower Merion. Figured I'd just do them both.
It's four.
Okay.
yes,
Well, there was something I was liked about Lower Merion, so let's see here. It wasn't on the agenda, but I do have Lower welcome. There we go. New resident. Well. Nah, one might be different, but either way, with Lower Merion, you can see the info on the side toolbar, easily accessible, didn't get lost as easily, plenty of links, more resources. I did read all these. Countless links could be overwhelming for some. And again, I think that applies with all of these, kind of the same synopsis that we were talking about with a lot of these different. These different things. Is that the one for their welcome packet? This is,
Upper Marion.
okay. So yeah, maybe it was Lower Marion's I had here. Well, let's go to Doylestown. Doylestown, as we saw, had a video and it also had a welcome packet. So I actually put I put a pros and cons for both of them. And we kind of discussed some of these with the videos as well. The videos, those pro was, it was very informative. It was welcoming. I felt it had that hometown feel. And if, just to remind everybody, I had it looks like presumably a local teacher, somebody in the school district, just kind of narrating it. And definitely showed the things that they were proud of, you know, like spots in there on historic things, all that things to keep it hometown. The cons were it was hard to navigate to get to specific information. And I know we discussed this as well. Attention span as well. It's you know, if you want to just have something quick, it was a long, about 20-minute video, maybe a little longer. Again, great video, but there were some of the cons that I had to that. The welcome packet was the top of the next thing here, but any other comments on the video? I know that's something that we had down the line, you know, just to keep in mind, but I figured.
What we talked about originally at the time when we we're talking about the necessity to keep it
Yeah.
short and sweet.
Right, and I think we, you know, I think we all shared those same sentiments on there. I did watch most of it this time, and again, after a while, it's great, but you know, not being in Doylestown, okay. After a little bit, thanks. The welcome packet though, the pros that I had was it was informative, useful information. The QR codes they had, which I thought was pretty neat. Possibly for the actual book. I put that in there for a second as well. And they also had links. Cons were that the QR links do not have clickable links. So on the packet digital, yes, they had the QR code. And I thought, oh, excellent, there's a QR code. But I am sure, you know, I can think of my younger siblings be like, oh, you have to grab it and screen capture it or something like that. But I didn't know how to do that. So for me, that's where it stopped. It's like, okay, I'm done here. I can only imagine other people as well. So QR codes are good to go on a welcome letter. But to put them on a digital screen just didn't really seem to work as well. So for those, they were not clickable links. And this is one that I saw lack of community resources, which was interesting because in the video, they explored more of that, or at least kind of had that idea that you would see more things like that. And again, the links take you away from the site and the links that they had, that's why I put tax collector, because that was the only things that were not relevant to their site. I think there's one more thing about voting, which was not their website as well. But because everything was website related, it did take you off the packet, but it took you back to the website, if that makes sense. So these are my takes from this here. There's the Upper Marion if we did that one. But yeah, I think my biggest takes on these were in front of us here, and I'm open to any other discussions. I did Google, found some other things. That's probably why I put the Lower Marion in there as well. But most of them were all very similar to these kinds. There are some that might have shared both. Okay, we'll take both of these things, but for the most part, this is the broad range that I found. There were some other videos. The other videos I found were some of the videos that I didn't get too into them because I figured that's further down the line, but they were the same thing that we had talked about before, where they had their logo on it. Yes, it was very informative, but you don't want to have, hey, Lower Salford, want to learn about this? Here's this township to tell you about it. And they're engineers and people, which is not something we want to do. So looking down videos, that's something we could look into the end, but there were a lot of welcome packets. Not as many were as extensive, I think, as the ones that we looked at. Some of them were just here's a quick welcome packet, list of your commissioners or supervisors, and here's a link to the website. But I'm open for all discussion here. Open the floor to anybody's takes, thoughts, and
You want me to run through the list
go
of
through.
what we
Yes.
kind of like, just from our discussion?
Thank you for doing that. That was good.
Well, yeah, it's figured it. We wanted simple, succinct, not wordy. We wanted informative. Pictures, I'm sorry.
Can we elaborate on, I think the thing that I want to stress is that it needs to be informative from a new resident aspect,
Right.
not an existing resident, not somebody who's looking for an overview of the
Right.
government. Informative as a resident.
I'm glad you said that, John, because that really sums up a lot of stuff where you do have, okay, it's good to have this and this, but what do you need is very good.
Yeah, it has that further down, new resident viewpoint.
Yeah,
Pictures and videos. When it organized,
organized,
so it's easy to find, like that one, it was like not alphabetical, it was like all over the place, so. For example, I wanted to find information about a dog license. I had to scroll through everything just to
Right.
find it, like it wasn't under D, it was.
so when you talk about being organized, you're thinking alphabetical.
Well, that's one way to organize it. I mean, there may be other ways, when we get into the nitty gritty, we can talk about it, but I think it's something we want to keep in mind. The organized, easy for people to find what they're looking for. Saying it,
Right, something that's accessible.
right? We want something that link doesn't take you away from the site. To navigate, yes.
And what do we mean by easy to navigate?
So it's not too overwhelming to look at, it's easy to find the links. Again, that would go hand in hand with the organization.
I think there's, make sure there's a back to top and stuff like that.
Links
Yeah.
are obvious.
On a website page versus PDF file.
And I think to elaborate on that too, there was a couple where you go to the welcome page and then you have to click welcome packet. You
Right,
know, by the time you get there, some people might be like, I know, you would hope better, but that seems to be, it's a good point.
did I say community resources already?
Nope,
Okay,
but that's
okay.
that.
QR codes,
And with QR codes, it's. Again, I think it's good that we're using them, but is that something we would want on a website? That's something we could explore as we get there. That was one of the things I couldn't click, but.
was it?
I think there's some good information there. I think some of the things, I think it's, we don't really, and good point, we don't really need to really express the don't likes, I think, but generally. We're all on the same thing. We want it to be simple. We want it to be to the point, almost essentially like. As you were saying, like almost like a digital version of our resident welcome packet even, you know, so here's the links, and this and that, so. I think this is great information. Again, I'm keeping this floor open. Any other discussion would wanna, or anybody wanna bring anything up here before we move on with more of this? I think our next goal would be then, what do we do with this? Okay, so do we want to go, again, one of the things we have to keep in mind is we don't want it to be overbearing, you know, something to design, we want, and I think these are things we said originally, simplicity, you know, just informative. So I think, and looking at time now, and you know, we don't want to go too far, we don't want to keep pushing this back, but I think we are moving along here, but I think the next step, and I'm open to suggestions, is to formally figure out what exactly we want on ours and how we would like the layout as well, so that would help us dramatically. And we could discuss some of that tonight, definitely as well too. Again, I'm open to suggestions, but I think it's important and it's safe to say we don't want something to take us away to another spot. We want a simple thing that is, we just went over here, so what would be our next steps then? Do we want to come back next week with different ideas? We don't want to spend a whole night, and again, I'm open to the ideas, but I don't want to keep kicking it back, you know, and I don't want to say, let's really knuckle it down now. But what is a good idea so we can come back and say, okay, let's get this, here's our suggestions. I think even for the time being, we could almost essentially take our resident, or our, I'm sorry, quick reference, yes. And just digitalize that and kind of go from there as well, you know, maybe take or add what we like, what we don't like, but. You know, that's, seems to be kind of right to the point as well, and then we have something up there. We could always elaborate on this more in the future as we get better with this, and these are just things to keep in mind as we go here, you know? We could say, hey, okay, let's add this, let's do this, this is working, this isn't. But I think all of this information, and I know it's a lot that we did cover looking at everything, I think this is very helpful to go about this now, and I'm feeling very positive in this direction here. It's good to hear that we're all seem to be on the same page too.
I think. I think you're on the right track, right? I mean, what Terry essentially laid out was kind of the guiding principles.
Yeah.
Right? The guardrails, right? And one thing you may want to do is actually prioritize those, right? Of that list, what is most important, right, versus least important, at least roughly, right? And then you're right in terms of content, right? I wouldn't worry about what it looks like, I think, because that may depend on who's developing, right? I mean, and what features and functions you have technically available, right? But I think that having the content, we want something about this, we want something about this, we want, you know, the list that's on the quick reference guide, we want something about trash collection, whatever.
Right.
But highlighting the content that you want, again, assuming that the view from a new resident is key, you're always asking, okay, you know, is this content that we're talking about key to a new resident? So you're always referring back to your guiding principles. Does this meet our guiding principles? Yes, no, it stays or not. Then give all of that to Holly or whoever and say, okay, how make this work, right? Because that changes depending on your technology and your website developer and things like that.
Right.
So I wouldn't be too concerned about exactly how it looks like or how the pages flow or things like that. That may be a little bit out of our hands, right? But you know, what are our guiding principles, not only for us in picking content, but then also for the developer or the administrator, whoever, right? I mean, these are our guiding principles. This is, you know, this is how you decide what you do or don't do, and then the content, right? What kind of content do you want on there? Give it to whoever and see what they come back with.
I think that's well said, John, and I think prioritizing is the key here. You know, another take, as you said, this, another thing I'm thinking of, we did look around and with that, you know, for me personally, I'm like, oh, let's see what kind of things we have. Oh, wow, look at this. Oh, wow, look at this. But when it comes down to it, and just I see from our discussions too, I think we all are kind of keep it simple, you know, so those things, while they're good, they can have those cons that we're trying to avoid as well. Well, I think if it's okay with everybody, how about we prioritize now, if that's okay, what we have here, just kind of to give us more of an idea going forward then as well. So when we come back next time, okay, it's not gonna be like, okay, what do we want? If we all have an idea, okay, I'm thinking, well, I really thought this was high. Well, obviously the committee didn't, so okay, I'm not gonna focus on doing that. And you know, before we do that even as well, Holly, feel free to chime in here too in this regards, like your thoughts too. I know you're gonna, you know, we're gonna, eventually it'll come down to you, but we think, yeah, so we appreciate that greatly. But hopefully you like that we're keeping it simple, but
My concern about looking at these things like simple, yet too much information, not enough information, et cetera, making it cumbersome. There's probably everything that somebody could want to find on the website already.
exactly, and that's,
We have a frequently asked questions page. When the website was developed, all of us in this office got together and said, what are our most frequent questions asked on phone calls?
Yeah.
That's what our frequently asked question page is, like, where can I take my Christmas tree to be recycled? Who can I use for a trash hauler? I mean, the frequently asked question page is very valuable. When Terry was talking about like the top items or like pulling out specific things, all we really need to do is have a table of contents that will tell you where things are. So you don't have to cumbersome, go back and forth.
right,
Everything on our website, especially on the FAQ page, you get down to one and you're done looking at it and you can hit top of page. Takes you right back up to the top. So every one of our pages on the website is get down at the bottom, take me back to the top, that type of. I also don't want it to be cumbersome because it can be.
Yeah.
I also don't want it to be redundant to the point that, like, when you say links taking you away from the website, that's what links do. The purpose of a link is to take you to something else that is not on your website. So if you find that cumbersome
To
or
clarify,
difficult,
and just to clarify, I designed my website for my business as well, and what I would try to do, and I did first, I was like, I had to go back and do it, because if you click a link, yes, you want to go to a different website, but rather than exit out of your website, it just could open up another tab, and that's what I meant by it, so I apologize. No, and in the same vein, if you click it with the government, okay, I'm gonna click this, well, now you're at the Boy Scouts of America and you're no longer at Lower Southern, whereas, another option could be click it. And now you stay with Lower Southern, that never closes.
But that's
That's
my point of, I don't think should get into the how it works.
That's true.
Some of that may be dictated by how your current website is structured and.
it is, other people have their website structured, but people can connect to them, right?
I
Yeah.
I do love the FAQ, and I wrote that down. Now, I'm gonna tell everybody, I think that should be something we should add to this as well.
I think it should be, I knew. What, I'm new to, are you new to the area? Here we are, and the frequently asked questions is one of them, and if somebody can't find what they're looking for, please email me. Please call us, because guaranteed, I could put a lot of things on there and people still call because they can't find it. And a lot of it has to do with how literate people are on a computer. My 100-year-old father, when he was alive, used his iPad without any problem. But yet there were things I couldn't find on it. He knew what I'm saying. It's all individual.
Absolutely.
So,
And it also varies, like, and that's, I think, just to clarify too, what our goal is here, like with this welcome packet, eventually someone might just say, oh, look, here's the welcome spot to take me there. And that's why, and I'm glad you said, like, again, we have a lot on there. We want to make sure people have a quick access to that, and so for me, if I move somewhere, I see welcome, I'm gonna go with that, oh, okay, let's see here. Hopefully that will have everything I need. And the idea I think that we all have is to get people, because really the whole idea of this committee is to show people and showcase what we have, how we can let people know from a different level. Yes, and that's what I think, and that's what we want to do with this. We want to just make sure they can see all the wonderful work that you guys have done that put up this website. But I like having it.
I'll say this, I'm overwhelmed work right now. I'm just not sure when I'm gonna be able to do this. So if you have a timetable for it, and if there's something that you want to get done, put that together, let Joe know, and we'll go from there. Because I'll have to juggle a few things and move things around, and
No,
Yeah.
absolutely, and that's why this is early stages of this as well.
Okay.
Yeah. We're still gonna present this to the board, make sure we're all good with this as well. But that's good to know.
Can we start with what we're calling this, because you use welcome package. I tend to think of this effort as not so much a package. I've been thinking that what we're looking for is a new resident page.
yes.
That's what's been up here, the packet, I'm looking at this stuff too, but yeah, absolutely. And
So this is
good point, call it the,
the resident page.
And it's easy to create that page. Like, if you look on our website, the tabs up at the top, the last one is the sewer authority. I can easily open one and create the new resident page. You open it up, bang.
I think we should start with the welcome letter, the new resident page, and then frequently asked questions on if we do anything else.
that's a good point that we haven't actually mentioned. Do we want to put the welcome letter on the page?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, and should we put it at the top or at the bottom, and would that be a PDF? Because that's,
I don't like that idea.
I think, I like the idea of having it as a possibility, but again, I think the goal is quick, not to read everything again. I mean, we're gonna hand these out, but I don't want to take away that idea. Well, like maybe that could be something that we could have separately, but I think having it up there might be good.
Like it takes away the presentation of the letter and it looks like we just slap
That's
that.
not,
up
that's
there,
another
Rather than
receiving that. But
Keyword search box.
have one.
yeah, there's a search box and there is a welcome statement on the website. Now.
Yeah.
That's actually a good point too, Justin. I didn't think of where I got a welcome letter. You know, this is, and we want people to
Feels so
understand.
personal.
Yeah, and it should be, you know, we want them to know, hey, you're important. That's a great point. But we can bring that up again as well, just to explore that. I think we have a lot of great stuff here and we have a lot to go with on this. I think, just to kind of close out here, prioritizing our number one things, and on the things that Terry, you have given us as well here with the simple, informative. If we just kind of go around, what would be your top 3 prioritized things? And I can even start just to get it going here. For me, I like simple. I think easy to navigate. And informative from the new resident aspect, I think are my top 3, I would say. I obviously like all of these, but I think if I can keep it down. Anybody else have, well, just rattle off 3 so we can kind of have an idea where we all are here?
Mine's informative from a new resident aspect is.
Numbering is, right?
I don't know, is simple and not wordy, is that the same on our list or is that 2 different things?
Is simple and what's the other one?
Not wordy.
Not wordy. I didn't have not wordy on there, but
Okay,
I would,
I might have wrote that instead of simple, so,
simple was the first thing said.
okay, right, so. Does simple mean not wordy?
I would think so.
So then simple, not wordy is second. Okay. I'll go with optimizing the structure. The sequence. Having some kind of sequence is how I read that, having some kind of obvious sequence or structure is third.
I want to add to that list too. I'll give it an honorable mention. I like the FAQ page. Make sure that that's up there as well, because that does cover a lot. Just having that link to there. And if I want to welcome back.
But that's, but that's
More
content,
like-
that goes
yeah,
in
you're
our,
right.
that goes in our list.
Very good. Anybody else want to share some last thoughts here?
I think it's the same. I think it's probably all in agreement, like simple, yeah.
As we're going through, I'm thinking the
Yeah.
same too.
I'm on the FAQ page. It's great right now. I've never been on it. I guess I haven't had questions before, but it's great.
It's
I look at it.
we have and I'll say it again, and I said it before, but you know, just to emphasize, we have a great. This and looking at all the different websites, you know, you really see how much we do have on there. And I think I just want to clarify that's, you know, I think we're all in agreement. It's a great website, really, and that's really what got us in this part. We want to figure out the best way to get people out there, because there you go. Didn't read that yet. That's not a shot at anybody here. It's just, you know, people are doing something, and it's not so much even just, you know, computer literate and whatnot too, but people are busy, you know, especially this time of year, you know, things going on, school, this and that. So somebody who might just want a quick answer, they just want to go something quick. Oh, what do I do? So that kind of idea.
So I think it's important we just don't reinvent the wheel. We already have it
Yeah.
here.
And I think that's what we kind of are gathering from this. We have a great keep going blank, keep calling it a QR request, but I keep saying resident request portal, but that's not what I'm referring to. The reference guide, the quick reference guide keeps going to QR, so I'm thinking QR, that's what it is.
Oh, right,
I go right to QR code discussing it, but yeah, I think we have a great quick reference guide. If we can just digitalize it a little bit, that would be great. Well, anybody else want to contribute to this? And I think we're headed here. Somebody, please feel free to chime in too, is I'm gonna go and really kind of think a little more of this. And again, I don't want to be redundant of our homework last time, but I'm not going to be looking at other things. I'm going to break down literally what we have, and I encourage everybody else to do the same. And from what it's sounding like, we're kind of gearing towards a digital version, a little more updated of our quick reference guide as well, which is great. It's a great guide. We worked really hard on getting that information there, figuring out what resources we have in our community that people aren't aware of or are missing.
All right, so can we agree that the three guiding principles in no particular order here are simple and not wordy,
Correct.
right? Informative from a new resident aspect.
Yes.
And then if I combine these two, it sounds something like easy to navigate with a organized structure.
I like that. I think it was very informative to see all the other different things. And again, not putting down any other township or borough. We think that some of them, I give a lot of them credit because there's a lot of townships that don't have any information out like that. So it was great to see what works for us and what things work better for other townships as well. All right. Anything else on this? We have a lot on this. John, thanks for summing that up here.
So next meeting, we focus on the content. Right? So far on my potential list of content, we've got welcome letter, FAQ, quick reference guide, not saying that it's those things, but potentially the information that is on those things somehow becomes part of this, right?
And there could be things that we'll go through and say, well, we don't really need this link because we're taking them to the FAQ and stuff like that we could cross off as well. I think that's fantastic. Anything else we want to talk about with new business? I think we should keep on for new business, possibly if we have any follow-ups from our residents, but I will plan on following up as well, particularly with the ones that I wasn't able to make contact with. So I just want to put that out there too. I plan on doing that. Any other information or anything else anybody would like to put out there right now? Again, thank you, everybody. I think we did cover a lot here. It's one of those things where it seems like, we feel like we could do more on that, but I think we did cover a lot, and it was important to go over all that, and that's really what this group is for. Hard to there. Get through all the little stuff to see what works best for us. So thank you, everybody, for that. That's great work. Any other comments or questions? Okay, do we have a
Next meeting?
Next meeting will be third Wednesday of go figure what the exact date is. It's not just to confirm it out loud. I know it's on my calendar to be here. But yes, that sounds about right. Yes, June 19th.
I will not.
Okay.
I'm not sure.
Okay.
I can send you my thoughts.
Workers' compensation, education.
Boy, I wish I could go.
In Minneapolis, Maryland.
Yeah. It will be.
I'm sure you'll be missing us while you're
River too.
very nice. Enjoy. Well, we will be missing you. Sincere.
Had some thoughts.
Any other comments or information? And thank you, everybody. Thank you, Holly. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Motion to adjourn, Terry, a second? 17, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, say nay. Okay, everybody, thank you very much, great meeting, and see you next month.